much. It's here for Coach Kirby. Guys, just a little bit of what we do with Undisputed Mastery, just to get you up, get you moving. If you actually did that, you can see this is more than a bathroom break. And by the way, this is one of the things that really separates what we do in our event from any other event out there. It's not just sitting on your butt, listening to one guy up on a stage. When in our live events, it's really moving. I mean, you're there interacting. I mean, you will have a personal breakthrough. That's why we limit it to just a very few participants. You have to apply, we have to approve. We always have a waiting list each and every time, but we'll get you more stuff. Oh yeah, some color going on. All right, guys, so keep that going. All right, we're doing great with our participants. It looks like next we've got Mr. Mitch Cammage coming up. Let me make sure, Mr. Mitch, we got you here. We got you unmuted. I'm going to mute all and then unmute Mitch. All right, Mitch, you should be good to go. Can you hear me, Mitch?
1 second, brother.
All right, we got you there. All right, I'm going to do a little intro here from Mr. Mitch Cammage. Mitch and I, we've worked together. I've been here. He's basically, you know, just a master of disaster from up north, right? Acts like a Tony Robbins there around the world, presented at Harvard Business School. He is going to present to us, you know, the topics of how to create a unshakable foundation in business. I want to read a little bit about his bio. Savage in business, Mitch Cammage has a simple life mission, amazing lives, extraordinary businesses. He is a business coach, 300 plus entrepreneur business owners around the world, mentored thousands of growing people. Mitch has been the keynote at Harvard School of Business, multi-speaker events. He's a leader for us at Undisputed Mastery. I know he and I has worked specifically on a brand that we call Brew Beards. You can see the beards, especially his. Very impressive, brother. And it's basically where we go into existing coffee retail shops and coffee franchises, and we help them take it to the next level. We have a franchise ourselves, our own branding, our own coffee, everything that we're doing there, coming in, coaching those people and helping them take their businesses to the next level. I mean, it's something that's really fantastic doing. Mitch wants us to say that, you know, he wants the whole world to learn how to run a business and win through not only good times, but also through crisis. And that's why I asked Mitch here specifically. He is an expert in doing that. A savage in business is really his key. The idea that you can't be passive, you have to be active, and you can learn basic principles to do this. He calls it the 4 quadrants of business. Mr. Mitch, thank you, brother, for being here. Man, I'll turn it over to you.
Servant leader, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Undisputed Mastery, the virtual event, and with what's happened in the world, we need more of this. In fact, we need more of you on a regular basis. The more frequently that you're going to talk to other people, the more you're going to satisfy one of the universal constants that business owners need for success. Okay? What is that? Proximity. Mentorship. Okay? I'm going to give you a little list. I need you to write for about 45 seconds or a minute. I'm going to give you a master list of everything. And then the document that I added here, I'm going to screen share. I'm going to show you how to write it out on your own page. And in fact, there's a really cool looking PDF attached. I'll tell you why. Because this document is a foundational tool, and it's been tested against over 1,000 businesses. And I've used it for 300 of my own clients. And whether it's capital enterprise class, divisional, or what is most of my clients, actually small to medium businesses, every single one of them fit on a page. So when you know that you can take every one of these and you can put them on a single piece of paper and point, you need to do this here, and you need to do that there. It makes it foundational excellence. It makes it universally applicable. And of course, it's going to make it sound judgment because it's simple to understand. So you guys, here's the first 5 things that you're going to need to understand about winning in business and in life. First of all, the power of yes. You need to know what you're going to say yes to in life. I'll deviate that on another day. That's not going to be germane today, but I'm going to give you this list anyway. Number 2, power of no. If you know what to say yes to, then you should know what to say no to. And saying no is incredibly important and powerful when we're looking to advance, when we're looking to grow businesses, when we're looking to accelerate our personal lives and our professional lives, accelerate our careers. Yeah, you got it right there, brother. Nicely done. Something to measure. That's number 3. Number 4, something to chase. And number 5, something to do. So this is the cornerstone for how, as an entrepreneur, you're going to build a really good life. I know how and what to say yes, what my highest priorities are. I know what to say no to. In other words, those things that I should eliminate, move away, or do not absorb any of my priorities. Something to measure. If I can't measure, I can't grow. Something to chase. If I haven't picked my yeses and nos, then I don't have anywhere to go. If I don't have a plan to get there, how do I know when I've arrived? And lastly, something to do. Picking those things that are going to fulfill you in life, whether personal, professional, or business related. It's really important to have those. But today, why Keith asked me here is actually what's going to come next. Going to go to this sheet. So I'm going to screen share for a moment, and I'm going to show you the difference between the two, but how they're the same. So guys, buckle up, get ready to go on a journey, because I'm going to want you to write on a piece of paper, even though you got the 4 block ahead of time, exactly what you're going to do. Here we go. Can you guys see this? You see my hand scratch drawing. I'm a lefty, so my handwriting tends to be atrocious, but you kind of get the idea for a moment. There's this guy, and then if I drag it out of the way, you guys will see the really colorful red and white. Can I get a thumbs up? Everybody can see this? Good to go? Awesome. Well, this guy right here is how you can go through any business, again, large or small, really quickly on a single piece of paper, and you can draw it out yourself. In the top left on the page is the word money. On the top right of the page is the word time. In the bottom left, but in the upper left-hand corner is the word that says architecture. And in that bottom right quadrant says leadership. These are the 4 cornerstones of business, and these 4 elements must be in place for business to succeed all the time. Now down the middle of the page, at the top it says profit, and under that center line it says people and process. These are our measurement tools. These are the things we need to measure at all times if we're going to have financial, people, process-driven, in other words, business success. And then at the outside edges of the page, it says mentorship, yeah, a little hard to read, and proximity on the right-hand side. These are the elements that individuals and leaders and managers need for businesses to grow. So the top left, we have money, and money for business is a product of both cash and your financials. The physical cash in a business is a bigger predicator of success long-term than whether or not your accountant or bookkeeper says you're doing financially well. I can prove this empirically with one of the best-known companies in the world, Apple. Until 2016, Apple preserved enough cash to buy their 6 next biggest competitors outright. That included Samsung. So when one of the biggest companies in the world is willing to preserve cash at that kind of level, which has a direct effect on financial health for a business, what does that tell the rest of us? In fact, we used to have a practice once upon a time, and there's enough people on here that are just old enough that you remember balancing a checkbook. Well, cash flow and balancing a checkbook are the same things. It means that I'm looking at the physical money I've got at any given time, what I'm going to have to spend in the immediate future, and then how much more I'm going to have to find. Or if I'm fortunate, how much I've got left over that I can work with the next time around, let's say tomorrow or next week or next month. The financial component of the business is the long-term strategy side. In other words, it's measuring how we're doing from a profit side, how we're doing when it comes to our expenses and our cost of goods. In other words, what it costs for the business to run, or just the financial health of the business and how much we're spending just to keep the business moving. In the time component, time only gets divided 1 of 3 ways. Now, there's lots of complexity to the way we're going to structure that. But in essence, when we run a business, we're either working in our business, on our business, or for our business. For our business, I always start from the bottom and work up. For our business, how much am I going to dedicate to my business, my businesses, or my ventures? Most small business owners will say, it seems like no matter what I put in, I never get back, and I'm just exhausted. And then I go to bed and wake up and come right back to it. So if I don't define how much time I'm going to dedicate for my business, how can I possibly know whether my time is being spent effectively when I'm working on my business, in other words, planning, directing, growing, or working in my business, lights are on, doors open, business transact every day. And so that top half of the page that I've scratched out here, the money and time is the profit center of the business. If I've got enough money and time, then I'm doing good. If I don't have an awful lot of either, I'm screwed. And just so we're clear, between the two of them, I will always pick time first, because time is the largest depreciating asset we have in business. You can't beg for it. You can't borrow it. You can't steal it. You can't do anything with it. 86,400 seconds in a day, and they are gone. So it pays to be really concise how much of that time I allot for my business or my businesses. And when I'm working on my business, planning, directing, growing, am I satisfying the highest priorities first? And then when I'm in my business, am I making sure that myself, my employees, my managers, my other leaders, etc., are spending their time in a way that's going to have the most effective outcome for success in business? When I go to the bottom, people and process area, architecture, that's just a fancy word for the things and stuff. The people component of the business, the actual employees we have, how we find them, take care of them, and in some cases say goodbye. Sales and marketing, the way we attract more people to our business, how we keep them, retain them, and grow them. And then the operations, the way the business runs. And on that right side, leadership, that's about strategy, strengths and weaknesses. So whether you are a one-person business, or whether you're in charge of dozens or hundreds of people with tens of managers answering to you, at any given time on a given day, you can say, how are we doing financially in your division? What's going on with our cash flow? Inside of our time, what is the most effective use of your time? Are you working diligently on those things that are going to have the highest result working on our business? And hey, are you spending too much, too little time dedicated overall for our business? And when we come down to the architecture, the people, how are our people doing? What can we do to grow them? How do we develop them? And if they're not the right fit, we must say goodbye. Sales and marketing, are we attracting enough? So when businesses get really busy, and I see this a lot with small business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, as you start to get busy, this flex in my time starts to come up, and I become too busy with everything that I've got, and I tend to forget that I still have to find time to sell. And then inevitably and eventually, that roller coaster starts to come down the other side, and now we develop a sense of scramble. I'm chasing to find more business. It's incredibly devastating to go through this constant sense of peaks and valleys, because if we have a regular system to attract, direct, and grow our business, sales and marketing, a cornerstone for our business, then the likelihood of the volatility and those ups and downs starts to decrease. We have a little more balance, which means we know what to expect when we're going to be in a valley. We know how to transact and process our business. In other words, to get more sales, to attract more people through marketing. And then when we're busy, our business still must maintain something, a semblance of being able to attract more. And then operations. When I talk to business owners, and again, whether it's big or little businesses, they'll say, okay, what's an operations plan? And I've worked with enterprise level companies and, Six Sigma and lean this and da-da-da-da-da-da. I'll hand them, and if you're watching the little videos right now, I'm just holding up a blank piece of paper in front of the camera for a second. I'll hand them a blank piece of paper and say, I want you to write in the top corner, phone call or email. And in the bottom corner, bottom right corner, I want you to write getting paid. And I want you to write all the steps that your business has to go through from the time you get a phone call or an email till the time you get paid. That's a fundamental or simple operations plan. But once you know where all that is, what's cool about doing that activity or that function for especially a little business, you start to look at places where, well, if I group these things together, I'd actually create a job. And if I create a job now, I have to hire a person. And if I hire a person, I have to give them a job description and train them to do this thing. But now those parts have moved over here and another human being is doing an essential portion of my business. And then we move to leadership. We're really talking about strategy, understanding what we're good at, understanding where we're deficient. Do we have to do something to fix the deficiency, or can we live with it because we can leverage our strengths? In challenged economic times like what we face right now, what are we good at? Because a lot of people will say, hey, make up for your weaknesses. No, leverage the living hell out of your strengths. But if you don't know what you're good at, you're not going to be able to take that and magnify it. So for business owners, we want to know what our money and time and architecture and leadership. In other words, what's going on with our cash and our finances? Can I understand that in the next 30 seconds or 60 seconds? Time. Where am I spending my time in and on, and how much time have I dedicated for my business? Is it the highest quality? Is it the highest order of good? Architecture. Are my people doing a good job? If not, how do I help them? Am I selling and marketing effectively all the time? Do I understand my ops from the beginning to the end? And then when I have more people or I introduce new people to more responsibility, can I get them to clearly understand what my expectations are from phone call or email down to getting paid? And then under leadership, strategy. Where am I at right now? Where am I going to? And then creating those road markers, those measurements. So I can say, my business is here, it's going to there, or I'm establishing a new division, or heck, I'm just trying to get through the next 90 days. Well, if I start here and go to here and I don't have any form of plan, how can I possibly know I've achieved anything? And those outside edges, that mentorship and proximity. Mentorship is finding people, whether they're in your business or outside of it, that can teach you how to do things you don't know how to do. And proximity is making sure you got the right people around you. So for business owners, and to go to the pretty picture instead of the hand scratch right now, we've got this money, this time, this architecture, and this leadership. And for bulletproof, for businesses that will not fail, cannot fail, and you'll see that in these 4 areas, there's a total of 19 things. There's 5 in money, and 4 in time, and 5 in architecture, and 5 in leadership. We actually only need 5. Out of these 4 areas, we only need 5 to make the business bulletproof. Cash flow. How much money do I have? How far is it going to go? What am I going to spend it on? And where am I going to get more? Well, Mitch, I got a company with 800 people. I'm telling you, as a guy that worked with a company of 800 people and did $300 million in revenue 1 year, if you're not paying attention to your money, it disappears fast, and then you're scrambling. But when you're that kind of company, imagine what the volatility is like for them in the back end when it comes to their financial strength, financial solvency. And then over there in time. So we've got cash flow and money. We've got time on our business in time. That's factor 2 for an unstoppable or bulletproof business. If I'm willing to find, even if I'm really constrained or squeezed, some effective time to work on my business, plan, direct, grow. And funny enough, time sits right over top of leadership, where what do we talk about? Strategy. Planning effectively and growing. If I could find that time and dedicate it, chances are I'm going to be able to do what? Test, measure. And then when I move down to architecture, we got only 2 components out of there. So we got cash and money, time on our business in time, in architecture, business development and marketing, sales and marketing. How am I going to find them? How am I going to take care of them? And how am I going to get paid by them? And then under leadership, strategic plan. So if you take any piece of paper, like the one I scratched ahead of time, and write money, time, architecture, and leadership, or things and stuff and leadership, and you write, where's my cash at? How much time am I dedicating on my business, and what are my highest priorities? Am I selling and marketing effectively? And do I have a plan to measure that against? And then 3 things that I want to measure: profit, people, and process. Is my business spending its time and money effectively? Are my people doing a great job? Is the way I do things, the process, working well and effectively, or do I have to change that? And then individually, do I have the right mentorship and proximity? Have I surrounded myself with good people? And am I willing to invest time in finding people that can teach me to do things I can't do? So where I started today to say 5 things as an entrepreneur overall, these are outward manifestations. Knowing what to say yes to, what to say no to, what to measure, what to chase, what to do. Here's the 4 parts of a business: money, time, architecture, and leadership. And there's only 5 of those that you have to have in line. You must have. They're immutable laws. Success is absolutely imperative to have your cash flow in line, spend dedicated time working on your business, sell and market effectively, and have a solid strategic plan. Be prepared to measure your business by its profit. Am I spending money and time, and are my people spending money and time effectively? The stuff that we do, my people, are they doing it well? Do I have to invest in them? Do I have the right people? And then the way we do it, our process, is it working well and effectively, or do I need to address something? And of course, once more, mentorship and proximity. People to teach me how to do things I don't know how to do. And proximity, the right people, the right tribe. God bless Harley for bringing that up, because it is something I preach on a regular basis to business owners. Find a tribe, find a group, find a mastermind, find somebody that can help you, that you can leverage what they know and in turn give back. So if you have 4 areas of business, 19 parts. So look at the whole thing for a moment. Money, we have short-term budget, long-term financial, cash flow, P&L, which is profit, loss, bookkeeping, and accounting. KPIs, key performance indicators, a fancy word for a dashboard for the financial health of your business. Under time management, learning to manage my time in and on and for my business. Architecture, HR, human capital, getting people to direct and grow. Find them, take care of them, and if you got to, say goodbye. Sell effectively in my business development. Market. Have an operations plan. Develop the technical skills of my team and my management. From leadership side, understand what talent is. What are people good at when they wake up in the morning? Develop yourself as a leader. Develop your other leaders in the business. Follow through with a strategic plan. Know where you are and where you're going. And understand your brand. In other words, what are you recognized as being good for? And when you have enough brand recognition, in other words, other people come to you because you're good, how do you leverage that? Brand channel extensions. I'm going to go back to one of my favorite companies in the world, Apple. Why? In 2007, Steve Jobs stood up on a stage and said, hey, you know us for building the best computers on the planet. And everyone went, yeah, we do. What if you could take that computer, put it in your pocket? What if you could surf the internet? What if you could play games? What if you do your banking? What if you could answer emails? And we went, tell me more. And then he whipped out the first iPhone. And everybody went, if Steve's saying it and if Apple's building it, we want it. That is brand channel extension. Know what you're good at and be able to take that and leverage it to another place. So there's 19 parts. That's it. 4 areas of business, 19 parts. And if you could build all 19 of those, your business is never going to fail. You can decide what you want to do with it. But if your business is in a crisis, you need to understand your cash flow. You need to dedicate time to work on your business. You need to sell in a market effectively, and you need to have a strategic plan. And at all times, you have to measure the profit, the people, the process of the business. If you don't, you're not measuring, it's not going to grow. And in fact, it's going to go backwards. And of course, for you, mentorship and proximity. Get good people around you and learn from people that can teach you to do things you don't know how to do. If you do that, the likelihood of success increases exponentially. And here's what that is, math terms, because I'm a data guy. I like math to explain things. 87% of businesses fail in the first 3 years, and they do so because they hire ineffectively, they don't sell appropriately, and they never learn to manage their cash flow. In other words, they never learn to manage a checkbook. Year 5 to 7, businesses develop to a certain size. They fail about 2/3 of the time, somewhere in the 62, 63, 64% of the time. These are global statistics. They fail because they have improper structure. In other words, they're not hiring really well. They don't have a good operations plan. Management isn't investing in its staff and its employees properly. And at year 10, and the great Tony Robbins will say it, of course, as well, 96 to 97% of businesses fail in 10 years. Why? We get tired. We get tired of the same crap every day because we don't have a grasp on what we're doing. But that number changes to 93% globally success for businesses that measure through their cash flow, always market, sell effectively, regardless of marketplace. And we can also point to, until now, and we'll see what happens here, 2013, 2014, 2015, the oil and gas downturn, 6% of businesses grew. 94% dropped. And those first 12 months in North America, we dropped almost 2/3. We dropped just a little over 60% through those first 2 years. But those businesses, that 6% that grew, and they were not the biggest businesses, they were the most agile. They grew by correlating almost 60%, a little over. Which means that through 22 months, businesses dropped 50, 60, 70%, and a little tiny section of businesses grew by 50, 60, 70%, which means the amount of money between those two was enormously different. So if you, in a hardship, can measure your cash flow, spend good time working on your business, market, sell effectively, and be religious about it, because people aren't buying right now, which means you need repetition. You need reps in. Big Nate just talked about it, right? It's system, it's theory, it is practice. And if you don't practice, you're not good. Well, guess what? Practice selling right now. You'd better be working the hell out of the phone. You better be marketing like crazy. You better be on LinkedIn making friends. And have a plan. I'm here and I'm going to go to here, because that way I can measure it. If you can do those, your business becomes unstoppable. It becomes bulletproof. And in return, it will last until you decide you don't want it anymore. And then when you go to sell it, it's going to be worth something. So take this sheet, give yourself a score. You'll notice a legend at the top if you want. 1's great, 5's terrible, and there's a little circle next to each one of these 19 features. Give yourself a score based on what's good and what's not good in your business. And if you can't answer because you don't understand, that's okay. You know, there's Keith and myself and other people here that can help you get to understand that a little better. But learn to build 4 components or quadrants of your business. Measure 3 ways: profit, people, process, and get mentors and surround yourself with good people. And that will make business, entrepreneurhood, or any endeavor in life successful. You'll decide what success looks like at that point. And then you can decide what you want to do with it. If you don't, I got to tell you, 97% you want to die 97% of the time, or do you want to survive 3? By the way, I've been in business for 8 years. So I got 2 years left. Which place do I think I'm going to be at? I got a pretty good idea, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, download this, look at it. You can message me. I'm sure Keith would have been putting on my contact information. You'll see all that with social media, because that's actually the best place to find me, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. Come in, communicate, ask questions. I am happy to talk to you on Zoom. I'll help you fill this out so you have an ironclad, bulletproof sheet with your own numbers on it, and then you got an entire mission statement for your business to take away. And therefore, you're going to be able to go through and gain monstrous success.
Great. Hey, Mitch, we've got a question here. Well done. We already have a question from Matthew Haggerty, great guy. He says, what are examples of leveraging your strengths? Yeah,
Matt, great question. A good example is actually what I'm going through right now for my own business, because I mean, myself or Keith or any of us, none of us are immune to the conditions, right? My business is not immune to loss or separation. Personally, like I'll call it my competencies. In other words, the things I'm good at when I wake up in the morning, not something you go and learn to do like accounting or bookkeeping or swinging a hammer or whatever it is, right? One of them is resilience. In other words, my ability to kind of get punched in the mouth and keep moving. Another one is self-starting, right? Another one is project management. Really strong, developed a really strong skill set in that as well. So looking at the crisis to identify the absolute needs that I got to go through. The next part, for example, is leveraging your strength, because I've been a sales trainer and a marketing trainer for years. You know, I work overall on an entire business, but some of my partners, in fact, some of those people are on the call today, our primary background and backbone is sales and marketing. That's where we all came from. So when a crisis is down, I go back to my old dirty habits, right? Let's just talk to people. Let's get some meetings done. You know, in the last 60 days, I've had more prospect meetings in the last 60 days than I had in the last 2 years. You know, in January, just to talk about leveraging strengths, for example, being good at me being good at sales personally, because I like it. I enjoy the fencing that comes with sales. And I don't mean browbeating or convincing people to do things they don't want to do. I mean being able to build relationships, communicate with people effectively. So if I go back to January, for example, my business had, I don't know, 20 or 30 clients. You know, I usually work with about that many clients. In March, I had 17. Right now, I'm back up to 30. So I've met with more people in the last 60 days than I had for the previous 2 years, because there were a lot of people going, I need help and I don't know what to do. Well, don't worry. This guy's got he's got your hookup, right? And I'll give it to you on a single sheet of paper. Another great one for that. And Jeff, I'll jump on yours for a moment here in a sec. Another great one, you go, well, I'm not so good at sales. Well, then are you good at marketing? Are you good at talking about your business? Right? Are you good at the math and the numbers? If you're really good at the math and numbers, you got to love math and numbers. You understand your financials really well. Then take where your business is sitting at right now. Figure out how long your business is going to run, where it currently is, how much cash and stuff like that. That's going to give you a runway of time. And then we got a runway of time to say, what do I want to do? Well, we'll go back to making yourself bulletproof. We got to sell and market effectively, which means if I know that my business is going to last 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 months, where I'm sitting at right now, keep going, then that's going to give me a window for how I'm going to have to apply myself in other areas of my business, maybe those that I might not be so good at, and in turn get some success to come out of it. Is that helpful? Awesome. Thank you. Andrew, talk briefly.
One more question, brother. One more question. Just wrapping up for time, but go ahead. Yeah. If we don't get to your question, remember, email me, and we'll make sure that we'll get that over to Mitch. Or Mitch, if you can see them there, if you'll just take that and then get the email addresses, we'll make sure that we follow up.
Sure, I'll answer. And Joey, if you wanna message me privately after, I'll look to type to you later on. There we go. Andrew, I'll answer yours. Talk briefly about how to get off the roller coaster that he mentioned. It's actually both really simple and frustrating as hell, because it's tough, especially if you're stuck in the middle of it. Okay. And I see some people smiling and nodding their heads right now, like, oh yeah, there you go. We're stuck right in the middle of a down. We're like, and some people's roller coasters are, it's not even a roller coaster anymore. We've fallen into a mine shaft. Like it is, we're going, where is this going to stop? Easiest way to do that is take a mechanic for where you're sitting at right now. By mechanic, I mean something that you're going to do. You know, LinkedIn. If your business is in a B2B space and you have not been talking to brand new people on LinkedIn for the last 60 days, you're doing yourself and a business a disservice. So if your business is plummeting, response rates on LinkedIn depending on industry, have doubled or tripled. And in some businesses, some clients that I've got right now, they went from, if you talk to 30 people, like 2 or 3 will talk to you. Well, they're reaching out to 30 people and they're talking to 25. So once again, there might not be money to be had right now, but for the first time in a long time, because nobody knows what to do, people are open to the conversations. So picking something as an activity, and again, go back to those things that are immutable that have to be there. Am I effectively planning and measuring off of my cash flow? Am I looking for the best way to resolve my time? Am I selling and marketing? If you're in a spiral or a drop into a mine shaft right now and you're still not selling or marketing daily, then that needs to be an activity that's going to start to level out that bottom for you. And if enough repetition and practice starts to come in, actually you're gonna find that you're gonna hit the bottom of that curve a lot quicker, and it might even inch up a little bit. And a great example, I'll just use my own business. My clients, there's actually more of them now than at the beginning of January, still not making a lot of money yet because there's not an awful lot of people with money. But there's an awful lot of people that need help. And so if I help them effectively enough, in other words, continue to talk to them, sell to them, market to them, that my financial position is going to start to improve because I'm literally taking on more people. And if they're more successful, guess what's going to happen when they got money? They're going to be able to pay. But I'm investing in those relationships right now because that's changed the curve at the bottom and started to move me up towards the top. Does that make sense? I know, Keith, I'm out of time. I've gone over a little bit. Anybody wants to message me after, please do. Find me on social media, message me on LinkedIn, message me on Facebook, etc. Come to my website, drop me an email. Happy to help out. Servant leader, thank you for your time. Everybody, thank you for your attention. And if you do this, you're going to make yourself unstoppable at business. Go get some.